Hi there folks, my name is Z and welcome to this 11th late episode of I Don't Know and You Can Too. I hit a root with the lawnmower, so today I'm going to be showing you the quick way to replace your lawnmower blades. And I'm also going to be trying to use that point of view camera again, so we'll test that out. Alright, now I'm just going to wait a second and make sure this stays on. It appears to be staying on this time. Alright guys, so for today's repair, I'm going to be using a new set of heavy duty blades for my tractor, a long ratchet, a 3/4 inch socket because it's the closest one to the right size for this. This is a little large, but it's close enough that it shouldn't round anything out. A rag to protect my hand because the blade could be sharp, and a breaker bar for if I need it. So, I'm not going to be using any jacks or stands. We're not going to have to move this whole machine up. The only thing I did do is move the deck to its highest position, and that should give me enough clearance for this trick. Now I'm going to talk for a second while I open up these blades. This is not the right way to replace these blades. When I looked online to see if I should bother making a video about this, I saw a lot of people that'll show you the right way to change these blades, which involves taking the whole deck off of the machine so that you can inspect everything and get to these blades properly. But it's not really necessary, and at the end of the season I'm going to be doing an inspection on this whole thing anyway. So, in the meantime, I just need to get it back up and working so I can mow the lawn without spending a couple hours pulling the whole deck off of this thing if I run into any issues. Now, I also have a breaker bar out here today, so if these bolts are a little stuck. Now, my grandfather always said about breaker bars, the reason they call them a breaker bar, because they're going to break one of three things. They're either going to break the nut loose so it comes free, they're going to break the bolt itself, and then you're going to have to extract the broken bolt, or it's going to break your ratchet. Very rarely will it break the actual bar you're using as the breaker bar. You've got this off here. Now, this is really easy if you just pay a little bit of attention, and it doesn't take a whole lot, honestly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach under here. I've got it all the way up. I've got the keys out of the ignition, and there's nobody on it to turn it on and cut my hands off. There's no way this thing should start up or cause any issues like that. Make sure there's no little ones running around. All of that good jazz. Now you'll reach under here, and you'll find your blade. And with a gloved hand so you don't cut yourself, or in this case I'm going to use a rag. This is what you're going to hold on to brace against. And you're going to take your ratchet that fits on the nut under here, holds the blade on, and believe it or not, you don't have to take the whole deck off. Let's see. Oh, this actually isn't stuck hardly at all. Should only take you a second. Get the whole thing off. There we go. Finger tight. Don't lose track of which direction your blade is facing. So I'm just going to leave it laying on the ground like that till I get the new one up. Looks like it can fit Yep, just go in the way it is right here. So, these have a tooth connection that goes on. You'll slip it back up in there, make sure it slips onto its point, slip the washer back over the shaft, and tighten this back down. Reverse of what we just did. You have a little bit of hand dexterity. You shouldn't have to see it. Most of this nut you can just put back up by hand. I double check this. Make sure it's still recording. Appears to be still recording. Take this, make sure you have it in tighten mode. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Again, just hold on to the blade carefully with a shielded hand. And tighten this nut back up. Yep. Locked on. Double check as you're tightening up to make sure that the blade stays locked on the spindle where it's supposed to be. You'll feel it slip into place and it won't spin without the whole shaft spinning. Now it's tightened back up and I have it lined up this direction inside the machine. And that's important because when we go to line up the other blade, we want to make sure that one goes this way and one goes this way so that they don't hit each other as they swing. They'll turn the same direction and turn past each other. If you line them up parallel to each other, they can hit. And that's not good for anybody or your machine. Let's just not do that, okay, folks? I'm going to go to the other side. This side should be a little easier to get to since you got a hole you can reach through. Hopefully I won't need to break the bar on this side either. But we'll see. Now that blade is lined up the same direction as the other one. So we're going to want to make sure. Can you guys see this? This is the blade I bent. You're going to want to make sure that one goes this direction and one goes this direction. Can't say that enough. Alright. Top of the deck view. Oh, this one is nice and easy to come off too. And that's why it's important to do your seasonal services, guys. I know this looks a little dirty, but you service it at the beginning of winter, and when spring hits, you'll get a lot more use out of these machines. I'll use my foot for a second here. Oh. Looks like those two. Falling off the nut. Almost done. Now the same thing with this. Just keep track of which direction the blade is facing. You can make sure the new one goes in the same direction, blade facing the same way. Now, I could take the time to sharpen these, make them better than they are, but it's been about 2 years since I sharpened these, so they're still sharper than the ones I'm taking off. Now, when I do my seasonal service, I will take these off and give them a proper sharpen before I put it away for winter, but I'm not going to bother for the end of the year, because, like I said, it's sharper than what I'm taking off. Same thing again, just in place, make sure it locks onto its spindle. This side, if you want to. It might take you a second to get it lined up, and that's alright. So the other side, most of that nut should be able to go up by hand. Make sure your ratchet's in forward mode. Just tighten it up. Alright, now as you can see, the blades are on. They are not parallel, they are perpendicular to each other, and it only took me about 15 minutes. You don't have to take the whole deck off, it doesn't have to be a whole day event, changing out your blades. Now these blades that I took off of here look a little worn, but they're not too bad, honestly. And if I get 50 subscribers, I will show you how to straighten this back out, fix this bend that I have in this blade, and how to sharpen these. Blades are not meant to be disposable. You're supposed to sharpen them and reuse them. Now there's a lot of things I could have done different on this. I could have taken the whole deck off the way everybody else does, and serviced everything while I was at it, but like I said, I do an end of season, or beginning of season service on it, so it wasn't necessary. And if it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you liked what you saw today, hit that like and subscribe button, and if you have any questions, comments, or ideas for another episode, why don't you leave it in the comments.